Are you experiencing back pain that you can't get rid of? Getting migraines, vertigo, having trouble sleeping, and/or brain fog? Do you feel like your medical doctor doesn't understand your condition? Blair Chiropractic might be the solution you've been looking for. If you've ever been skeptical about this, the two doctors you're about to listen to were even more skeptical than you were when they looked into chiropractic work. But fear not. Get expert guidance from the blonde and the bald, Doctors Beth Bagley and Frederick Sugar. These two doctors have extensive experience beyond the healthcare realm and bringing unique vision and healing to their patients. What do you have when you get a biological analyst and an engineer together? Find out right here on another episode of The Blonde and the Bald. Welcome your hosts, Doctors Bagley and Sugar.
Welcome, folks, to The Blonde and the Bald. I'm Dr. Sugar.
I'm Dr. Beth Bagley. How you doing, Dr. Sugar?
I'm doing excellent. I had a great idea for a podcast, and we're going to do it tonight.
I love it.
We're going to talk about, how did I phrase it when I sent you the text?
I can look it up. I got my phone in my hand.
I know, right?
Cases that always respond well to care.
Yeah. And, let's preface, there are some people that do not respond well, but generally, they almost always respond well. In fact, you're sort of excited to see it because you know it's going to happen, and you just
I get giddy. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm excited about you not feeling well because of whatever's happening.
Right.
But I just know that you walked in the right door.
Yes.
And usually they understand. Sometimes they think I'm still a weirdo, and that's okay because I am.
Yes, we qualify as that because we keep on saying, hey, there's a little bone underneath your head, and if we fix that, everything is going to get better.
Yep.
Case in point, I had a crane operator. He's been operating cranes all his life. Come in yesterday, and he called me on Monday, and it's like, Doc, I hurt my back, and he likes to chop wood and split wood on his weekends, and did something, twisted wrong. 3 weeks before, the twisting wrong got his low back. 3 weeks before, he wakes up with a crick in his neck, and he professionally, he needs to look up all day long. So as we went through it, and he had other injuries and accidents throughout his years, motorcycle accidents since he was very young. Yeah, I think we're going to get you better. So we get him adjusted immediately because it was just his atlas. And this might be one of those qualifiers that's because when it's one level.
Simple. It was a simple misalignment.
It was a simple misalignment, or at least simple by our standards.
By our standards, because we see some stuff.
We do. But it was just his atlas. We get him adjusted, and I have him walk around a little bit, and he looks at me and is like, this is real? Like he's questioning his own senses where he's been... I watched him after I had him do my paperwork check-in. I watched him stand up out of the, just to get up out of the front chair with armrests, and it caught him. His low back, I've been there. And then afterwards, he's like, Doc, this feels awesome. Thank you so much. And on top of all of that, he comes in today for his checkup, his follow-up, and he says he slept awesome.
That is such a common thing after getting an upper cervical adjustment. And it is amazing. It is some amazing sleep. It's when you wake up kind of almost in the same position you fell asleep in.
Yeah.
And you actually wake up refreshed.
Yep. Yep.
It's when you haven't been sleeping well and you get that night, it's amazing.
Yeah. In fact, the last time that you adjusted me a couple weeks ago, that hour nap or whatever it was long. At least it felt long to me. I was like, we're like 3/4 of the way there. That's
you had all sorts of stuff going on, and you're not one of, and I'm not either one of those people that doesn't have an uncomplicated misalignment. We both have very complicated.
Used to be, and then I decided to get in a couple car accidents, and I like to train and sometimes push myself. I don't push myself through the stupid anymore.
That's smart.
Yeah.
So I think one of the ones recently that I've had come in, actually it's a couple of different patients, but one in particular I'm thinking of, has what I call the spot. And the spot is not so much the trap, it is part of the trap, but a little bit behind the top.
Sure.
And it's this knot that comes on, and it's this searing, unrelenting, like just pressure pain that happens. And they, no matter what they do, they put tennis balls, they hold it, they have people dig in it.
Nothing.
It just keeps coming back over and over. It feels good when you're pushing on it, but you stop and it hurts again. So the spot, to me, when I see that, immediately I always look at C2.
Yep.
Now that doesn't mean it's always C2, because sometimes it's C1, but there's an upper cervical connection between what's happening in the trapezius muscle and in the spinal accessory nerve.
Exactly.
So that's one of the nerves that comes out of the cranial area and it is affected by the upper cervical spine. So when I hear that someone has the spot, I get a little like, because typically they don't feel better right after the adjustment, but typically about a day later, it starts melting away.
Yep.
And that's, I do warn them that it doesn't instantly fix it, because it absolutely doesn't. And there are some things where we get excited as upper cervical chiropractors because we see some changes immediately.
Right.
And some changes take time. Some changes take weeks. Some changes take months. But for certain things, we typically see changes, like this one is in about a 24-hour period where they can see a change in that. And I pretty much know right away when someone has that, okay, we've got this.
Right.
But a lot of times they have other things going on too. But that's one that I can think of as the trap spot.
Yep, absolutely. A lot of it's that, and a lot of it almost feels like it's right between the shoulder blades. And they've gone to other chiropractors who say, Doc, it's here, work on it down here.
Yes, and that's what they want. They want us to adjust low.
Right, right.
And
and quite honestly, sometimes that's just chase and tail. So that
it's
makes
just like putting the pressure into it. Like if I massage that muscle, yeah, it does feel better, but I'm not going to keep massaging that muscle over and over and not get to the root cause. We got to get to the root cause of why that muscle has this giant trigger point in it.
Yep. I've got another patient who, she is not an easy case. She doesn't fall into this category, but literally I will sort of hold her head and, moving her where she says, Doc, it's right here. And I'll get right in there and I'll just sort of maneuver her atlas into a position that's where she needs to go, and her head literally goes up straight, complete relief. And then I tell her, and then she says, all right, Doc, just follow me around for the rest of the day like this. I mean, both of them, there are days I've been tempted because she is that tricky of a case to try to figure out, all right, how do I get that adjusted so it actually unlocks? And knock on wood, there's some wood right there. She hasn't been in a while. So unfortunately, we just talked about her. So she'll be calling.
And that's so true too. I actually just had that experience today. It was a patient I haven't seen in a while. And I thought, I wonder how she's doing. I was like, I haven't seen her. I hope she's okay. She was on my schedule in the afternoon and I had no idea. So it was one of those things is we can psychically pull them in.
Exactly. Well, and talking about cases, and again, this one I would have considered a complex case until she filled me in on what she's been doing for the past year. She showed up a year and a day ago. It was the last time she was in. So 362 days because it's a leap year. But any case, she says she's been doing really well, but what did she do? She took a medical leave from work. She's been doing all sorts of fun stuff she's been looking for. She's gotten actually a couple of medical procedures, including getting her iron level up to where it's supposed to be finally. And I looked at her and I'm like, you've got great vitality today. What have you been doing? And sure enough, the biggest thing I think for her, aside from actually getting a couple proper medical diagnosis and treatments, the biggest thing for her was getting away from work and all the drama and stress that she had at work. So unfortunately, she's going back here in a couple of weeks. But it is amazing when folks, if you're been going to your chiropractor time and again, and they're helping you, but not enough, you might need to take a step back and take a look at the rest of your life to see what else is going on, because that might be the extra little oomph you need.
So in chiropractic philosophy, we talk about the 3 T's, right? So what you were just talking about is the T is thought.
Yes.
But really emotional stress. So what's emotionally draining in your body? And all 3 of these T's that we're going to talk about is what causes your body to go out of normal function and misalignment. So what can cause a structural shift in your body? And so if I met someone who was going through emotional trauma, one of the things they'll do is they'll hunch forward and protect their body. And you'll see that, like, I'm going to make a bad comparison, but like an emo kid, right? An emo kid's got the hair in their face and then they hunch forward and they're like, I hate everybody. They're in a protection posture. And that protection posture is something that is like an emotional trauma or emotional stress that's happening on their body.
Right.
And emotional stress causes structural stress, causes misalignment. So the second T is the actual trauma. So like if you got hit rear-ended by a car, or if I take my phone and I hold it like this over and over again, that's a repetitive trauma.
And
so we can do
things. Her shoulder, her her
Oh yeah, if you're not
her
if you're
1
not watching
centimeter
YouTube,
phone.
if you put your phone between your shoulder and your ear,
Yeah.
and you hold it up with your shoulder. So that's a second, that those repetitive traumas can definitely cause misalignments. And that's something that patients don't realize they're doing, is they could be doing something every day at work, or their computer monitor's too low, or they're using a laptop and they're hunched forward over it and typing on a keyboard attached to the laptop. Now, I don't mind if you're out and about and you need to use your laptop temporarily, but if you're using a laptop on your actual desk, you need to have a detached keyboard, a detached mouse, and you need to have your laptop up on a stand. So that your screen is even with your eye. And that's what we do at our office, or at least we do now.
Good.
Yeah, because we're hurting ourselves leaning forward over a laptop. So that's that second T. And the third T is toxic stress.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that we are in and around and consume. So if I drink Pepsi every day, or Diet Pepsi, either way, that's a toxic stress, whether it's a sugar overload or it's a chemical SHIT storm.
Yes. Or you just decide, like you did a couple weeks ago, right after Easter, to eat all the stuff.
I ate all the stuff.
And then realize, oh, I ate all the stuff. I feel horrible.
Horrible.
Switch back to keto, and
Feeling
all
better.
of a sudden everything clears up immediately.
Yeah.
In fact, I had one young lady saying, yep, Doc, I know the storm's coming through today. I can feel it in my joints and my arthritis. She's a massage therapist. And I told her, you want to get it better fast? Within a week, cut out the wheat, you cut out the sugar, you cut out the seed oils. Even if you just cut out one of those three,
you still feel way better.
You'll notice a difference almost immediately.
And then I was talking about water to a couple patients, and I actually did a health talk to a bunch of teachers yesterday morning. And we talked about water. And I know everyone's tired of hearing about water, but one of the ways that if you're increasing your water is that I do it is I take a big bottle. I'm holding a 32-ounce bottle. I believe that's how much it is. Of water. I try to drink 3 of those a day. 4 is actually like really good for me, but 3, I feel like I've done a good job. And if you put a full bottle of water next to your bed, and if it's a big bottle, drink half of it when you first wake up, do your business, brush your teeth, all the stuff. And then before you get into your car, drink the second half of the bottle.
That's a really good idea.
And then fill it back up with your filtered water. And then you have the second bottle that you're supposed to drink during the day.
Yeah.
And if you're like, well, I pee too much. Well, get over it.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm so tired of people saying I have to pee too much. I was like, it takes 45 seconds. Go pee. It's fine. Now, some people literally can't, like you're a surgeon. You can't de-scrub and pee all the time. I get it. Or if you're an elementary school teacher, you can't leave kids unattended.
Quite honestly, let's be honest with the surgeons. If they're really in a pinch, what they will do is they will do things that we would not do to do 10 hours. Let's just put it that way.
They take they scrub out and scrub back in. I don't want to hear about the other stuff.
I don't either, but I applaud them for their tenacity.
Oh my gosh, I wonder if they have the tools to put a catheter in. They could.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They could. I actually, now I want to know, if you are a surgeon listening to this, please post and tell us if you put a catheter in for 10, 15, 20-hour surgeries. I just want to know. I want to know if that's what you guys do, because that's actually pretty brilliant. But gross.
I'm certain somebody does it. I'm certain at least there's a surgeon, or surgeons know of somebody who do that more regularly than not.
And then you can stay hydrated. You drink all you want.
Exactly, because they're doing a 12 to 15-hour marathon sometimes with these things, so they have to.
Oh yeah, I mean first of all, I give it to the surgeons. Amazing. You can open up the human body, know what everything looks like, take it apart, put it back together. You guys are crazy. Awesome. I love it. But second of all, we want to know how you pee.
Yeah. Any case, let's get back to talking about these cases that we know are just going to knock it out of the park.
Okay, what have you had recently, like migraine related?
That was where I was going.
Okay, see, we're like connected.
Yes, I had a young lady come in on Monday who has been having horrible migraine, and I know I'm confusing her with another young lady who came in about the previous week with horrible migraines, but this one here, she was starting to get. She is auto tech and loves her job, did it for 7 years, but all of a sudden these migraines got so bad she had to take a leave of absence.
Oh man.
And she really hasn't had any notable traumas from, it wasn't there wasn't a thing that sort of stood out, except She is a twin. She was on the bottom, and she was the one that they had to do extra work to resuscitate because she, of where she was positioned. And she's just telling me everything, and I'm like, okay, this, that, and the other. No, the other one had all brothers for siblings of a six family thing. But she was definitely she's got that, those tomboy mentalities on the petite side, but everything she's talking about, I'm like, yeah, you're in good hands. You're in the right place. She was actually referred in. She's been to 2 or 3 chiropractors, and from Indiana actually. And the third one, the most recent chiropractor, she is a good friend and a good friend of Dr. Liz Hafer, who's one of our Blair docs.
We love Liz. We should have her on the podcast sometime.
We should. We really should. But in any case, so Liz says, hey, I'm close. Send her over there. Because all these other chiropractors are saying, I don't know what to do with you. We've done everything we can, but I can't get you to that next level. Well, sure enough, she comes on in, and her neck, she's never been in an actual car accident, but she's had whiplash style injuries throughout the years. And, her neck is a little bit, it's mostly straight, but a little curved at the top. But the kicker is her dens. So this is a part of C2. Your head and your atlas pivot around what is called the odontoid, or the dens of the axis, which is, if you can imagine a finger coming up from a vertebra, that's the pivot point. Hers is bent, not quite 45 degrees, but that's how she was describing it when I was looking at it, or at least as she was looking at it. And it's bent back towards her spinal cord. So
really?
Yeah.
Take a screenshot of that. I want to see it for.
I will. I do have it handy.
Since we're going to see each other tomorrow.
Exactly. But she's, we might need an MRI if she's not responding well.
Absolutely.
She is. But I see this and I'm like, oh, this is exactly why no one has figured this out for you, because you have abnormal structure, very well possible from early birth or early childhood because of, being a twin. And now she's got that pushing against her cord. I told her, you should have a banana shaped curve, but maybe not because of where that's sitting. So we're not going to be so concerned about the curve as much as making sure things are where they're supposed to be, and your head's on straight. We don't need to adjust you, and your symptoms start reducing. If we need to take an MRI, we'll see how bad that looks. But she's already doing better. She reported back to me yesterday. She did have a migraine on Wednesday. It was bad, but normally her migraines take her out for a day, and she was able to, work through it. So that's
in itself is a feat,
right? Because there's
just being able to work through a migraine,
right? Because there tends to be about 3 different things that go on with a migraine. And correct me, there might be a 4th, but the really big things are certainly intensity of the headache, duration, how long does it last, or how long how can you get it to reduce, and frequency. And those would be the big 3 that I think are the ones that stand out. If I can get any one of those starting to reduce, we know we're going in the right direction. So she's already, her duration's already down, her intensity's down. She was getting 2 of these a week. Now she, we'll find out, next week when I see her next, because as much as I would have liked to have seen her today, it's a drive because she's coming from Indiana. But still, we're going to get her better. So, and sure enough, I was very confident. I adjusted her. Her friend who helped drive her over, saw how it balanced. And it's funny, at the end, her friend is like, you take care of all of these conditions just by getting that first bone in the place? I might have to sign up too. So it's really funny to hear that from somebody. I'm not selling other people on what's going on. I'm just saying, hey, you're here as a witness to make sure they feel comfortable that what we're doing here is getting them in the right direction. So yeah, that was the migraine case. Like I said, the one from last week, I haven't chatted with her to see how she's doing. And I get to see both of them on Tuesday. So yeah, all sorts of fun.
Yeah. So if we go back from migraines and just go to it's so funny that I put that word in front of it, because we see so many complex cases sometimes when it's just like one thing.
Yeah, it's just a migraine. Exactly.
It's just headaches. So somebody has tension headache, doesn't go full migraine. They're not in bed in a dark room, but intense pain in their head, their eye halfway closed because it hurt. Yet they can work, they can drive, they're not puking, all that stuff, but it keeps coming on over and over again, sometimes daily for these people. And that was one of my chiropractic stories that I had. I called an 11-year headache. I had a headache every day for 11 years of my life. Sometimes it was more intense, like a migraine. Some days it was just a headache, and I lived on Advil. So if you find yourself taking Advil or Tylenol or Aleve multiple times a month, most people are with that stuff are taking it daily or multiple times a week. That's not right. Something is not right. Your body is telling you help, and the help that you need is not in a bottle. It's not in a pill. It is in chiropractic care. So what we see recently with like headaches is normal headaches. So funny that I say words like that, but we know that there's no normal headache, but there are these typical headaches that happen with people. Is that tension headache? Some people are like, I just get sinus headaches or I just get tension headaches. None of those are normal. So an upper cervical alignment can help tension headaches, but actually can help sinus headaches too, because of the changes in the structures of the face. And actually, you've been doing some cool work with the sinuses lately, haven't you?
I'll tell you what, I've been doing nasal release, and
this is not upper cervical, by the way.
This is definitely not upper cervical, but this is, but it is in the same vein as to the neuro disconnect that people are having, because if the bones in the skull aren't moving the way they're supposed to, then if the bones in the skull do not move the way they're supposed to, they will not pump cerebral spinal fluid the way it's supposed to, or things will get stuck, or things will get hung up, or in the case of the sinuses, things get stuck in that mucous membrane layer that don't work. So funny story. And if people are interested, reach out to me. I'm glad to tell you more about it. I'm not going to go into detail here, but the one young lady that I've been taking care of for a little bit now, every time we do 8 passes, and the one pass that we get to that is, way high up towards the sphenoid, every time we do that one, she's like, there's a nasty smell up there. I don't know what it is. And she is waiting for something, for her, to, as it breaks up and it starts to come out, she's waiting to blow her nose and see like a big old seed. I mean, part of her, I feel like she's expecting some grapefruit seed to fall out. And I'm like, probably not.
Probably not.
But,
and maybe it'll never be anything. I mean, a lot of times those sinuses drain down your throat. So
well,
you're not going to have it
that would be the case, I would
out
think,
your nose.
that once it finally starts working better. But the interesting thing is I do an eye test in the process of figuring that out. And I've got her looking just simply down and to the right. So looking over this direction, and she gets a moderate pain response just setting her eyeballs into that direction. Well, when that happens, that's usually, that was the worst one today. And sure enough, we did the procedure while she was looking in that direction, opened up that sinuses and decreased that pain level and intensity as we do that. So it's curious. I know when, for my own sinus headache and sinusitis, that would, I would horrible chronic sinusitis when I go out of adjustment, if we let it go that long. That turns me into just misery. And even after getting adjusted, the drainage will stop, but all of the sinuses in my head are just inflamed, and it takes me at least a day for that to settle out. So,
but how exciting is it that it takes a day, right?
Right.
So something that in your past was chronic.
Right.
Now, when you get an adjustment, it's like, oh, I know in a day or two, I'm going to be feeling a lot better. That's incredible. Your body is incredible that it can heal like that.
Yeah. And yes, I'll lose a day. That is the biggest problem I see with it, because I actually lose that time. I'm not productive, either with the problem, before I get adjusted or after I get adjusted, until I feel better. A lot of things, just fall off the radar, which I apologize to people for that as much as I can. But when you feel like crap, you feel like crap.
Yeah, we talk a lot because Dr. Thomas and I both lose words when we're out of alignment, where we forget how to say things. And I think that's another one that I kind of get excited about when a patient comes in with maybe not a chronic, because if it's chronic, we know it's been there a long time, but they've noticed recently that they live in a foggy feeling, or a cognitive, they have trouble with coming up with words, or they have trouble reading and then understanding, like the comprehension. And if it's kind of a newer thing for them, I love when I hear that, because that's one of the things that people can see the biggest difference in quickly is, yes, you can have neck pain, and we see that, and that gets well relatively quickly for a lot of people. And yes, that's a big deal, which as doctors that look at some very atypical presentations of pain patterns and things, when someone has simple neck pain, it's not simple to them, but it's simple to us, and it hurts when they turn away, or it hurts, they can't look up because it hurts, that kind of thing. Yeah, we can see some incredible changes. But when somebody is cognitively impaired, meaning what's the reaction time when they're driving, there's some things that can be really scary with that, and seeing that change sometimes immediately after the adjustment is cool. I wish you probably have a test for that.
But like, honestly, what's curious is I don't have anything that I really liked.
Yeah, like I feel like a reaction time test.
Yeah, and quite honestly, that takes, there's a lot more work.
Oh, that would be like a study we would have to do.
Yes, exactly. And I think Dr. John Chung, John Chung, opposed to Johnny Trung, who's out in LA, but folks, were just talking about other upper cervical doctors. That's where it's coming from. But he is doing down in Miami. Dr. John Chung is doing some of that kind of.
Wait, is it Dr. John Trung? You've said it like 7 times. That's what I was saying.
I don't know. Anyways, but he's been doing a lot of that with some of the work that he's been working, that he's been doing with patients and such.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a research project he's going to do, showing the efficacy of these things. But
yeah, but I can even see it like being there's probably we can make a computer model of a reaction time of a click, right?
Yeah.
Where you could do like a 30-second or a 2-minute test beforehand or whatever, and then do it after. And I just want to see, and then maybe 2 days later.
Yes.
And
I mean, they exist. But what I find is we could do the research study, that stuff exists. What I really get excited about is when the patient who has had 2 car accidents and the concussions and basically had to get on Medicare because she can't take care of herself, she can't work. And I do, either I get her atlas adjusted, sometimes her C2, and sometimes just doing the cranial work. I go and I'm like, all right, I'm giving her direction and she can't take direction. She's like, all right, I got to think about this.
Yeah, like I'm saying, push your legs together, push your legs apart. It takes them a second, and they're like, "Wait, what did you say?"
And then you get them adjusted, and it's like, Doc, I have no problems here. Everything's working fine. And I wish those cases, and this is the problem, those cases don't hold well. They need a lot of extra support. They, I lose a day. They are losing, this one young lady's losing a couple of years. And, and I've joked with her, the one I'm thinking about, I would hire her for my front desk in a heartbeat if she was able to be consistent, not something, and it's her personal desire that she can be consistent, but she can't physically be consistent because of everything else that is going on when she goes out of adjustment. She's just life doesn't work for her. Yeah, not yet.
Life is hard when you're not in alignment. And for some people, that is devastating. It's devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went from things that easily get helped with chiropractic to things that are hard, but that's just so us.
Yes, it really is.
So a lot of people with low back pain don't realize the effect that an upper cervical adjustment can have on the low back.
Yeah.
And one of the tests in the Blair technique is something we call a leg length check, where someone lays down and we see if their feet line up with each other or they don't line up. And if they don't line up with each other, meaning one leg, we call it a short leg. Now, I put quotations around short leg when I was saying it, because it doesn't mean the leg is actually short. It means that the hips are kind of pulled up and twisted a little bit. Now, right there, when you hear, okay, the hip complex and back have pulled up and twisted a little bit, right there, that's back pain. Yeah. So we're testing for something that causes back pain with the leg length check. Now, when we do an upper cervical adjustment, the leg lengths become even. And people are like, well, why does it help low back pain? Right there is, if the legs have become even, the torquing and the twisting into the hips and low back has stopped.
Right.
And that's actually one of the reasons, if you don't have low back pain and you get adjusted upper cervical, your back can actually get sore.
Yeah.
Is because those muscles are now working in a different way, and it can hurt for a day or two. So I do warn people who don't have low back pain that it can actually hurt a little bit there
Exactly.
after you get an adjustment, and that's
Because
totally normal.
the muscles are shifting. You've got muscles that hadn't been engaged, hadn't needed to work, switch over to needing to work, and vice versa. Other muscles that have been tightened and shortened are trying to lengthen back to where they're supposed to be. So you've got a lot of stuff that's just shifting and in motion almost immediately. And again, some symptoms, especially the first 48 to 72 hours, some symptoms can get worse before they get better.
Oh my gosh, yes.
No, it's, but it's not unlike going to the gym and working out. I'm getting back into, after my 2-week hiatus from working out regularly, I'm getting back into the swing of things. And did I do a workout on, I think I was exhausted on Sunday when I got back. So I skipped my workout on Sunday and I got to my workout on Tuesday. Felt good. I pushed 38 sets in 30 minutes. So I was pushing, but at the end of it, I didn't feel exhausted, did my stuff. Yesterday felt fine. Today I wake up and my shoulders and my upper back just feel like, what the heck did I do yesterday? So sometimes it takes a little bit of time for that delayed onset muscle soreness to kick in. And it's the same principle in working out as it is in healing, because it's the same, just because I worked out versus I got adjusted or somebody got adjusted for the first time doesn't mean the principles aren't identical, and they are. And that's where we have to recognize that if we do something new, it's going to ache a little bit.
Yeah. One of the things that just popped in my brain is what in chiropractic, I don't even want to call it philosophy, but, and to me, it's not even very scientific because there's not a lot of studies on it, but this thing called retracing.
Right.
I like to call it healing cycles.
Yes.
Because our body will ramp up healing, and then we can go and things are getting really good and feeling good. And then something is healing that doesn't feel so good. And we go into what we call a dip. So it's like a symptom dip.
Yeah.
So when someone's in a certain part of a healing cycle, we can have, wow, I've had like 3 good days. It's awesome. And I've never thought I could feel like this again. Thank you so much, doc. And then 2-3 days later, they come in and they're like, I don't know what happened. This is the worst I've ever felt. And I don't know this is working, and I'm never going to get well. And I get it because I've been there. And when you know what it feels like to feel good again, and then it gets taken away from you, it is devastating. But the good news is if you know what it feels like to feel good again, you can get back there. And that's what this healing cycle is it's not, I call it a roller coaster, and it is an up and down and up and down. Yes, there are occasional patients that get all the way better and they're just perfect. And that is a tiny percentage. The most of us go through ups and downs, and that is normal. It's not it's what we expect. We do not expect it to be the patient who holds their adjustments right away and everything's perfect.
Right.
It's gonna take time. So healing cycles and these dips, as I call them. And when people come in, and I've warned them, hopefully I've remembered to warn them, but are you in a dip right now? Oh, okay, this is what we talked about.
Right.
So just know if you are an upper cervical patient and you notice that you are experiencing a dip, tell your doctor about it, first of all. But second of all, know that that is so on par with how your body works.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, it's life.
Yeah.
So any other cases that we wanted to share? Those were the big ones for me.
In general, I just wanted to bring up, when we've been talking about this with some of the doctors that are doing some TikToks lately, is that there's been a kind of a complex of cases, and these are very complicated ones, but there's people that are experiencing chronic fatigue, they can have dizziness, they can have headaches, it's like all of the things, but they'll also have some digestive tract stuff. So we're noticing, if we look at how like the vagus nerve works, it could be a vagus nerve issue on that too. And they may or may not have gotten jabbed with something.
Yes.
And so we talked about the 3 T's, is we've got toxins as one of them. So if we put a toxin in our body, the reaction can actually be a structural shift. Lots of other reactions can occur, as we've discussed, but a structural shift can be the reaction. So what we're noticing is that some people are coming in 2 or 3 years post toxin injection and are having these symptoms that are coming on, and it's like a lot all at once, and upper cervical is helping with that.
Yeah.
So we can't take things out of your body, but what we can do is help your body adapt to the current state that it's in.
Adapt and heal past the problems that are there.
Mhm.
Yeah, in fact, it was Dr. Philip Shallow, who we've discussed before.
Oh.
He and I were sharing a lot of his patients who went in, who got the jab. They ended up needing to get adjusted almost immediately.
Yep.
So that was I
Mhm.
didn't put those two pieces together, but that often wasn't shared during that time either. So,
Mm.
but in any case, it is what it is, and now we know better as we learn more and more about. There's more and more evidence coming out that was a bad choice. So,
Yep, it was not the best thing that we could have done for our health.
no.
So if you are a person out there that is suffering with some of the easy things we talked about, or maybe a complex of things,
Yeah.
I want you to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There
Yep.
is hope for you. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call one of our offices. You can also text our offices. I don't know if you do text. Do you guys do text at your office?
I do text.
Okay.
I do text about 3 different ways now.
Okay, we text, you can call, you can shoot us an email, you can comment on one of these, and we may see it. You might want to text or email us.
Yes. Yeah. Come out to us directly, and it's a little bit better than some of our social shares. Sometimes we don't. We're not on those as often as.
Because we'd be busy. We'd be
Yeah.
busy at the office. But just know that we're here to talk, chat about it, find out if this upper cervical care can help you. And if you have a family member that you're thinking about when we're talking about these things, get them this information so that they can do the research, or just make them the appointment if they're close enough to you.
Yep.
And we're in St. Louis, Missouri. We're on the west side. Our office is Precision Chiropractic. If you go to our website at precisionchirostl.com, you can find us information about our office and how to get a hold of us.
Yep. In fact, I think I just sent you a referral because she was having all sorts of sinus problems as I got off the airplane, and said, "Hey, you need to go see Dr. Bagley."
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yes. And I'm at Keystone Chiro, SPI.com here at Keystone Chiropractic in Springfield, Illinois. Yeah, apparently it is a long day, and I'm ready to go home and eat some dinner.
That'll be good. And then we're going to see you tomorrow, right?
Yes,
Here in St. Louis.
We've got a St. Louis seminar with a bunch of students coming down from Palmer, so that's going to be a blast. So, any case, all right, folks, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. That's what really helps get these episodes shared with people in the public, so that they can hear about this, so they know that there is a ray of hope in that dark tunnel where they have been suffering for way too long. And unfortunately, as cliche as that sounds, it's the truth when you start meeting these people who have been suffering for as long as they have been. So,
Yep.
All right, folks, you have a great evening. Dr. Bagley, we will see you tomorrow.
See ya.
That's all for today's episode of The Blonde and the Bald. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed today's show with Drs. Bagley and Scherger, remember, don't give up and just live with the pain. Come back next week and get more answers and solutions. Visit our websites at KeystoneChiroSPI.com and PrecisionChiropracticSTL.com for more info, and catch all the episodes of The Blonde and the Bald.